So Denis Villeneuve, Jason Momoa, Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet were all present at CinemaCon for Dune Part 3, and apparently 30 Fremen were on stage with them at one point. And those who were lucky enough to attend got to see a 7-minute preview of the opening for Dune Part 3. So in this video I'll be covering what people saw in the preview. If you like these videos, don't forget to like, subscribe and drop a comment. This helps the algorithm to find my videos to share them out to more people. Let's try and get to 100k subs by the end of this year. Now that that's out of the way, let's get straight into this deep dive. So in this IndieWire article, it says that exclusive footage of Denis Villeneuve's Dune Part 3 was played, giving a closer look at the closing chapter of the Canadian director's epic space opera. Villeneuve showcased the first 7 minutes of the movie for the CinemaCon crowd, and it did not disappoint. And this is what they say they saw in those 7 minutes. Of course, this is going to contain potential spoilers for Dune Part 3 and for Dune Messiah and possibly the later books. So if you do not wish to be spoiled, please check out another video of mine. We witnessed a solemn group of warriors being sent to battle on a crowded transport ship, chanting as they get fired up for an uncertain fate, which turns out to be an intense blast of gunfire from a massive tower that bursts from the ground. There were none of the principals in the sequence, but it was staggeringly epic. So this suggests to me that the opening of the film is the war scene that we saw with the bullets flying in the Dune Part 3 teaser trailer, and is probably going to be the assault that Stilgar leads on that water planet. I think some other articles delve into more of the specifics of the scene, so I'll look into that and cover that for you. But the article does say that Villeneuve came out on the Comic-Con stage with his entourage of a massive army of people dressed in Fremen gear. He said he's going in a new direction and didn't want to walk in my own footsteps. He called the first Dune more meditative, the second film more of a war film, and this new one more of a thriller. He says that Paul is dealing with the consequences of his actions and decisions. It is more of a redemption story, but the heartbeat of the film is the love story between Chani and Paul. He was also joined on stage with Jason Momoa, Zendaya and Timothée Chalamet, and Chalamet spoke about Paul becoming his worst vision and is struggling to retain the parts of himself he retains the most. And the host of the event, Patton Oswalt, said the movie does not shy away from the darker parts of the source material. Jason Momoa also explained his character, who is a new character, Hate, that has been born from the cells of Duncan Idaho, who died in the first film. The article says that Chalamet also had some kind words for his director and the experience of working with Villeneuve over the last decade, calling him the true Paul Atreides and the one on a different level. Not exactly sure that's a compliment given what happens in the books, but a compliment's a compliment. Disappointingly, the article doesn't actually go into what the people said on stage, so I'm going to go to look to people who were actually there and who posted about it on X. Apparently as well, when Timothée Chalamet was asked about his feelings on the final chapter of the Dune saga, he said that it was deeply emotional and that he's grown up on screen with Denis and been in 3 films with Zendaya. Apparently at one point Jason Momoa said the words Gola technology, which is interesting. I thought it was supposed to be Tleilaxu technology. Jason Momoa also said, "I'm kind of sent as a gift to Paul to see how he handles someone he hasn't seen, but I'm a different guy now." And that he's a body regenerated from the cells of Duncan Idaho, and someone else reports that he said, "I've been sent as a gift to Paul to see how he responds." I'm not sure what Jason Momoa means by saying that he's a different guy now, which is technically true for Hate because he is a different person at the beginning, but through certain events he comes back around, becoming himself again. In a Deadline article, Zendaya said, "The years don't seem to have been kind to anyone in Dune. It's been a really difficult, challenging, ungentle and unkind few years, though there's so much left still to fight for." She said, "We're catching her character Chani at a very different place in her life, where that youthful outlook is completely gone." Villeneuve wrapped up by telling the crowd it was emotional to say farewell to Paul and Chani in the desert. "We became like a small family. It's like 10 years of our lives." And the Deadline article describes the clip as opening with Fremen ships sailing through dark, grey, foggy air, crashing down on a planet where it's raining. They chant and say, "God be with us," before heading into battle. Lasers fly at them, obliterating many. And I think after the opening of the movie, they cut to more of an extended preview of the whole film, where Momoa's Duncan Idaho tells Chalamet's Paul Atreides he's way beyond redemption after becoming a destroyer of worlds. That's interesting because it evokes the destroyer of worlds quote that is quoted by Oppenheimer when he saw the destructive power of the nuclear bomb. So if that's the case, this seems to be Duncan Idaho opposing Paul and not being loyal to him. Another description of the opening of the 7 minutes of footage describes rectangular ships full of Fremen soldiers waiting for deployment. They talk about water falling from the sky on the battlefield, and they land and disperse on a stormy and barren planet. There's a small moment of quiet before a mechanical turret cuts through the fog and cuts down the Fremen. The soldiers take cover and try to destroy the turrets with a shield piercer, but the rockets are deflected back. Finally, a beam from above destroys the structures the Fremen are taking cover in, a devastating depiction of war and destruction in the middle of Paul Atreides' holy war. The footage ends and a sizzle reel of footage from the first trailer of Part 3 plays. The opening of the film evokes sequences like the beach scene in Saving Private Ryan, mixed with the otherworldly aesthetics of space operas. Villeneuve admitted that Part 3 will take a significant departure from the first two films, promising a redemption arc and a broken love story between Paul and Chani. Other descriptions of the footage say that Stilgar walks between the warriors, encouraging them before the impending battle. The Fremen appear to be armed with lasguns, and that the war chant that the Fremen are singing is the same one that Paul sings in the trailer. Although Paul doesn't seem to be present at this point. As the ship opens, the Fremen remark that water is falling from the sky. Rain. Stilgar leads them off the ship, while several of the Fremen carry a rectangular device. This seems to be something to attack shields with. Stilgar calls on the Fremen to wait before urging them to get down. An intense barrage of red lasers then follows, destroying several Fremen and lighting them on fire. We have never seen action like this in Dune or Dune Part 2. Something large bursts through the ground, evoking the visual language of a sandworm bursting through. The tall structure is mounting with more laser turrets, responsible for the overhead shot of laser fire seen in the film's trailer. The giant structure is struck by an explosive, a shield piercer, which seems to be these devices. The structure still stands, so Stilgar attempts 3 more shots, which are reflected back at them. It's like they don't know how lasers work with shields, but I digress. A soldier makes a run for something in the distance but is struck down by more laser fire. The footage ends with the structure moving, Stilgar and his Fremen warriors still pinned down. Then we get to see the extra clips across the whole of the film, which are new clips shown as Paul and Hate, the revived Duncan Idaho, speaking over the footage. Paul asks Hate what he knows about him, and Hate says that he's beyond redemption after killing so many. More scenes begin to flash through, including Chani witnessing foreboding tarot cards and Princess Irulan covered in mud. And apparently Chani asks Paul how it feels to be human, despite all his power. All of this, I have to say, quite confusing. Why Chani would be looking at tarot cards, I don't know. Then Paul says, "The Atreides family. That's where you come from. I need Duncan Idaho." Paul then repeatedly shouts, "Remember," as a sandworm breaches the ground. This remember seems to be Paul trying to encourage Hate to remember that he's Duncan Idaho and try to unlock his memories, perhaps. Again, this is not really exactly what happens in the book, so I'm not too sure about what is actually going on in these descriptions, other than what we've already seen from the teaser trailer. I'm also confused about Chani and the tarot, unless the trailer was edited in a way to trick you into thinking it was Chani looking at the tarot. I'm not too sure. Because as far as I know, she's not a superstitious Fremen, she's not even religious in any way, shape or form, so perhaps certain things have changed in that regard. In the movie version, of course, not the book. So that seems to be the gist of what was revealed at CinemaCon 2026 for Dune Part 3. What do you think about what was revealed? Let me know in the comments. Check out some of my other Dune content or some of my other popular culture videos here.